Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Reconnected. On the show, on a very momentous week for Scarecrow video, we have Mr. Joel Fisher back. Joel, thanks for coming back.
Good to be back. Glad to finally get another chance to talk with you.
It's been too long. I was looking at that earlier and getting some of the links that we used for the last show. I was like, wow, this was way longer ago than I remember.
Yeah, it seemed like, you just have so many people wanting to come on now. It's hard to get booked back on, so I'm lucky to be here.
I had somebody asking today, and I literally had to tell them, well, how's your September?
Yeah, that's a good problem. That's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem. How's Seattle been, sir?
It's been all right. I don't know. It's warm today, so nice day for a change. I'm just working, so I don't pay attention to anything else that's going
on. Obviously, we got a lot about Scarecrow in the news this week, and Joel happened to bring a special guest, and I know she's eager to be here. So everybody say hello to Kate Barr, the executive director of Scarecrow. Thank you for coming on, Kate.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. This is amazing.
It is wonderful to see you again. Got to meet you last, God, was that December?
Yes.
It feels like 3 weeks ago.
I know, really. I know exactly how you feel. I can't believe this year is half over already.
Right.
I mean, happy summer, everyone. Because today is the solstice, right? Today's summer.
It's the longest day of the year, and it's a good thing because we got a lot of announcements to cover tonight.
Yeah. I see Joel's big stack over here of things. So I know you guys have a lot to talk about.
Well, we also got 1.8 million things to talk about. What is going on with Scarecrow Video? Because there's been a lot of articles shared this week.
There has, and in fact, just hot off the press, couple hours ago, AV Club put an article up about it. On Tuesday, we made an announcement that we kind of converted our spring fundraising campaign into an SOS, which is Save Our Scarecrow campaign. So we've sort of hit that crisis point where income has been on the decline and expenses on the rise, and we have not been able to fundraise enough to meet the gap in between. And so if we really want to get serious about a future, then we have to raise this huge amount of money. So it is a lot. It's more than we've ever tried to raise before.
Right.
But we have a purpose for it. It isn't like just throw money into a money pit. We do actually have a strategy for how that money would get used, which would be to bring in some new leadership. And by new leadership, we mean people who are trained and adept at fundraising, and so can really help in that area that we can't. Because the reality is we're just a bunch of video store clerks. They got together to start a nonprofit, and we've kind of taught ourselves a lot along the way, but we've kind of run out of road as to where that knowledge can take us. And now we need to bring in more experienced people who can actually take us to that next level. And so that is going to necessitate bringing in new people, so that's the new leadership, being able to keep our existing staff. We're in danger of not being able to stay in our location. Our space, for those of you who've been there, you know how incredible and amazing it is. It's 8,500 square feet in one of the most expensive cities in the United States. So, it's a really magical, special place, and we would love to be able to stay there for as long as possible. It won't be forever. Like our landlord's already told us, it's not going to be forever, but it could be for a number of years more. And then the other really big piece of our fundraising component is we need to actually have working capital to be able to give this new leadership time to get up to speed and really get their strategy in place and get it working. So we do feel like this would be an investment in the future, and our hope is there's some amazing angels out there who will agree with us and help us out.
Under all of the articles that have been posted this week, there's been a lot of, I guess, cynical comments is probably the best way to say this. Maybe it's time to hang it up. And the most common thing I've seen is, sure, they're the largest video archive in the U.S., but why don't they just put all that? I think the most egregious one I saw was put all those in MP2 format, and then we can all share them. And I was just scratching my head. But first off, why should all of us care about Scarecrow in your opinion? And why is this money? Why is it something that we should all band together to really care about?
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually have somebody preview all the comments for me, because when we did the Kickstarter back in 2014, I mean, the amount of disparaging remarks was just, at a time when you really don't need to get kicked in the guts, and you're getting kicked in the guts. It wasn't a nice feeling. And so now one of our board members is kind of screening all of those, and I'm just like, just tell me the good ones. Because the reality is that not everybody is going to be a physical media advocate. Not everybody's going to be a physical media champion. That's fine. We all have different tastes. And so for those people who don't get it, they're never going to get it. There aren't words in English that are going to help them understand why we think this is special. I'll expound on it, but I also know that you guys are already there. Right. I mean, this is preaching to the choir, because you guys are already there and understanding why this is important. And usually, the easiest way for me to help people get context is I usually ask, when I'm talking about Scarecrow, how many titles do you think Netflix has available online for streaming? The number is all over the map. I was in an interview today, and I asked the journalists that question, and they said 500,000 titles. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, it's and the thing is that is actually what Netflix has done very, 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 very well, is sell the idea, the idea, mind you, that everything is available. Right. Now, the reality is very different, because the reality is they have about 3,000 titles. And then if you put Amazon, Netflix, and Hulu together, it's like roughly 41,000 titles. Scarecrow currently is at over 148,000 titles, and we grow by, 3,000 to 4,000 titles per year. So the difference is in diversity of voices that are available. And one of the things in that AV Club article that I was a little bit disappointed about was, as I said, we have everything. We have the blockbusters, and we have the indie films, and we have the big budget and the little budget and the no budget. And he cut the no budget part out. And I was like, oh, man, that's where the good stuff is.
I mean, the quantity of titles is such an important thing, but rent by mail is probably the thing that I've been talking about for Scarecrow the most this year, because it's the way that everybody that's listening to me can support the most. Yes. Can you explain the rent by mail program again for somebody that maybe not have heard Joel talk about it last time, and how they can become a part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we realized is that for people beyond just the Puget Sound area to really get invested in this collection, they needed access to it. And honestly, access has always been a really fundamental part of our mission as a nonprofit, because if people don't have access to these stories, how can they... how can they be have their mind open or be moved by it? Or you have to have that experience. And so we realize access has always been extremely, extremely important to us. And so we have actually, since like 2018, 2019, we had been tinkering around with trying to figure out how to be able to do rental by mail. And it wasn't until we got our new point of sale system and the new website that it became what we hope is easier and more pleasurable for people than it was before. The before times was literally bubble gum and duct tape. So, I mean, this is, I think, for all the problems it may have, and there are still kinks we need to work out. It is infinitely better than what it had been before. And so there are certain things we won't send by mail. So VHS, for obvious reasons, if for any of you guys who went to video stores back in the day and you saw the warning ones with the melted VHS tape, that's why we don't send it by mail. laser discs, hard to ship. And then our super rare stuff, the stuff that's on our rare list, we also.
Right.
But even if you take all those out, you're still looking at over 125,000 titles to choose from.
Jeez.
I think people might be able to find something that they might want.
Right. Other than that, if somebody is dirt poor right now, they watch this just for fun, and they would love to help out, what's the best way they can help Scarecrow?
Share it, spread the word, share it on your socials. You know, we totally understand. Video was always a populist format. It was always meant to be an affordable format, which is also why we advocate for accessibility. And we try to do things like when we're locally, and I know we haven't arranged this for rental by mail at this stage, but locally people can come in on Wednesdays and it's our 2-for-1 day. And, you know, we're trying our best to make these things as affordable as possible while also being caretakers of a pretty incredible collection that, you know, we have a very strong responsibility. And Joel is our main guy with that. He's the one who's making sure that all of these titles are being taken care of. And if they get damaged, that we're replacing them. And, you know, that we're keeping this collection as strong and as vibrant as possible. So just spreading the word, honestly. I mean, you know, if you love physical media, then let other folks know how much you love physical media and that here is this place. And if you know somebody who might be able to donate $5, $10, it all matters. It all really matters. It matters not just in the dollar amount, but it matters in the love that's coming our way. And, you know, instead of getting kicked in the guts, you get that warm and fuzzy feeling that, you know, yeah, this is worth all of the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into it.
One other way that everybody can help Scarecrow is like we just found out, they have more than 140,000 titles. There's always stuff that you're looking for. To put you on the spot, is there a grail title that you don't have in Scarecrow that you would love to get? Oh,
that's a Joel question because he's the one.
I hate that question.
Yeah.
Anything that we don't have is like we want, essentially.
Right.
You know, we want to have as much of a diverse selection as possible because it all represents our shared culture. And I kind of look at it, everything in there as like a people's history of, you know, the world as, you know, people look at themselves through media. So there's like documentary, there's feature films, all of that tell you about how people were at a specific time. And it's a window into a different time that might give you a different perspective on things. It's even films that were made for nothing but entertainment value can really shine a light onto the time period and the context of what and how they were made. So it's just, we want to, you know, add more pieces to that and fill any gaps of any kind of weird stuff that we don't have. There isn't like a specific thing that like, oh, we can't find it. Anything that we really want, we get. Essentially, usually, you know, budget permitting. There's probably just a lot of stuff out there that we're not sure that is amazing.
Well, and we're really lucky because as a nonprofit, we can accept donations, and I mean physical donations, and we get them all the time on an almost daily basis now at this point. And we always, when they come in, we always, and by we, I mean Joel, always goes through and checks to see if there's anything we don't have in our collection. And inevitably, not in every single donation we get, but inevitably, you know, we're finding things that, you know, and that was kind of the cool thing about the heyday of the home video revolution is that people were just, you know, would just stumble across things and you'd buy them and you'd have them and then, you know, they disappear, but you don't know that. And, you know, it was just, it all was very kind of compartmentalized. And then so stuff comes to us and we're like, oh my gosh, we didn't even know that this was a thing, you know, and now we have it in our collection. And that actually happens. I mean, I know on Joel's shelf, in where we do all the sorting of these donations, I think we have like 5 or 6 50 count boxes that you still need to go through of things that we don't think are in our collection as yet.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that's
just one of the shelves.
that is just one of the shelves. Actually, he has a couple of those. So yeah, there are like hundreds of titles that we still need to try and integrate into our collection. Yeah, it's always growing. You know, we're kind of like we'll take whatever people want to give. So
we love also when filmmakers approach us, contact us. They just want to have their film at Scarecrow, which is super awesome. And anybody that wants to do that, we're always happy to accept that and to put a spotlight on that and share a little picture of it on the shelf and be like, "You made it."
Yeah,
we got a local lore question for you. Brian wants to know: didn't the original owner once spend a month's budget on one title?
I don't think there was ever a budget.
Yeah. Well, so that was that problem number one. There was no budget. Problem number two: George was incredibly passionate and just would get. Somebody would tell him about a super rare Laserdisc in Japan, and he would jet off to Japan on a buying spree. And then this is the part two of that equation, and then not pay his staff for like a month. So there are some people who don't ex-employees from that time who aren't as warm and fuzzy, don't have as many warm and fuzzy feelings about George as
Right.
Because they remember those days when they couldn't pay their rent because George couldn't pay them because he had just come back from Japan with, like some amazing Laserdiscs that we actually still have in our collection. Somebody actually just called yesterday asking if we had Song of the South. And we do. We have a Japanese Laserdisc of it. And that he probably bought on one of those excursions. And,
nice.
And then we also have a PAL-coated VHS of it. So these aren't like bootleg things. These were actual releases that Disney made, not in the U.S. because they didn't release it in the U.S., but had no problems with it in other countries.
We got a label. Craig from Deaf Crocodile says, "I'm assuming our titles are among those, and if not, I'm happy to donate copies of all of them." So we'll talk to Joel.
We are definitely caught up currently on Deaf Crocodile. But going forward, we should talk, definitely.
Yeah.
I am very happy to see we got some people donating. I will put this up on the screen above in the chat out there, scarecrowvideo.org/SOS. If you can open that in another tab while you're listening to these wonderful stories about George and just give what you can. It is a really important time, obviously. The donation is going. The goal's for the end of the year, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
So if you just got paid 13 days ago and you can't do it now, it's not like this is the end of the drive tonight.
Correct.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So,
and if you're going to donate from now till the end of the month, if you use the code Scarecrow Night in the text box,
there's a little notes field.
You'll be entered to win a raffle. For anyone that's watched the Viva special, if you haven't watched the Viva special, that just came like last week, right?
A couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, watch the Viva special. That's where you get information about that. But we're going to tell you, just use Scarecrow Night. And you're going to win one of many bags.
Yeah, we put together 5 gift bags, and they're all different themes. So like we have a Criterion one and a Vinegar Syndrome one, and so we have some different themed bags, and they all have some discs in them and posters and goodies like that. So there'll be a drawing. I think in like a week or so. It'll go through the end of the month. So Scarecrow Night in the note field, and then they'll do a drawing live on our Viva physical media show.
Nice. Yeah, the Viva special was pretty great. Everybody needs to check that out. The link for the Viva channel is in the description below. Probably last question for Kate. Yep. Dude McMahon wants to know, how do you make sure everybody returns the rare stuff?
And how do we even know what our rare stuff is? It's on a list called our rental by approval list, which means all of those titles have a deposit that needs to be paid in order to be able to check it out. And they range anywhere from $150 to $1,500. In order to check it out. So the idea being that if somebody were to abscond with them, that we would at least be able to try and replace them. Right. The rarer it gets, the harder that would be. So, it's just, there's a lot of good faith going on with that. But yeah, I actually fielded a call today and this guy was looking for only rare VHS stuff. And you have to warn people like, look, this is going to end up being like $700 in deposits that you're going to have to put down. But,
Yeah. We just want to encourage people to be careful with them more than anything. A lot of the deposits are sort of arbitrary because we try to tie it to a replacement cost of some sort. Some things you just can't replace.
Yeah.
And so we want there to be access to those things, but we want people to take the responsibility seriously and to not damage them so other people can be allowed to access those things as well. But unfortunately, the number of things that are just, they're out of print and they're just gone is growing. Or maybe, it seems to be growing, every day. Every time I check, I can't find so many different things. There's no record of them even being around. So, that's frustrating, and it keeps me up at night, thinking about all the things that, somebody loses it, and I'm like, oh, we can't find another one of those now.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be done.
But, I think it's a delicate balance that we always have to strike, which is between access and protecting the collection. And so we do our best with it, but ultimately, if we don't have access, if we start sequestering things, then you go down a whole different path where it's only available. It's just, we don't want to open that door. We want to just have kind of an across the board policy. Also, we are working towards getting grants, which we have in the past, and digitizing. We're prioritizing rarer stuff that we have, and specifically like rarer VHS that we have, and digitizing that. The slippery slope with that is that we can really only prioritize things that are orphaned. So that's not everything, There are some things out there that are owned by bigger distributors, and we just can't touch them. So we just hope for the best. And again, it's a lot of honor system and hoping that people treat them well. It is interesting that this used to happen back in the day, and I've heard like half a dozen people in the last few weeks say this. Back in the day, people used to come to Seattle, get a hotel room, come to us, rent a player, and rent a stack of stuff, and just hole up in the hotel room for the weekend and watch stuff. And apparently, people are doing that again. So they don't have to rent the player; they're just bringing their player with them and staying at an Airbnb. Or it's at the Airbnb, and then they're just walking out. They're like, I'm just going to get these for the weekend, and that's it. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's great. So
sounds like a wonderful vacation.
There you go. I'm just, I thought I'd pitch that vacation idea to all of you guys. All right, I know you have a lot of titles to talk about. So Ryan, thank you so much for having me on. Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate all of your support, and we can't wait to get the new edition of the Physical Media Advocate.
This thing? Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit.
Can't wait to have it. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kate. We'll remind everybody to go to scarecrowvideo.org/SOS to possibly donate to what is going on with Scarecrow right now.
What I think is, if you're thinking about this, everything seems really daunting. It's a big threshold to get to. But each and every one of you can actually make a difference in this. This is super important. You should feel empowered to do what you can to make it happen, because literally anyone can make a difference. 10 years ago, I was at a meeting at Scarecrow, and the owner said, "Hey, this is done. We're got to figure out something, but we're not going to do this anymore. We've got some ideas. None of this stuff is going to keep it available to the public. None of it's might even keep into Seattle." So, get out of that meeting, not feeling too good. But I'm like, why don't we just do it? Why can't we do it? We know this collection. We know how, we know the people, we know all of this. Why can't we do it? Kate's there, and she said, okay, what would it take to do it? Let's figure it out. So we did that. We looked into it. We created a plan. We created a budget, went to the owners, and they were like, yeah, okay, we'll sign on for this. We will donate the collection to this because we think that this is a viable path forward. Like, if you care about something, and you have the passion behind it, you can make a difference. Just one person or two people, they can make a difference. Without just that, just the idea of like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to anything telling me that I can't do a thing because I don't even know anything about it. I'm going to see what I have to do and make it happen. So even just a little donation, even just spreading the word, if you have any kind of expertise or any kind of thing, anything at all that you think might help, or even if it's a crazy idea, just get in touch with me. Like, let me listen to it. I'm happy to hear it. Anything that people want to do, because I'm so passionate about this, and I will do anything that I can. And I hope that, I don't want people to put themselves out too much, but I do want people to feel like that when they do something, it actually does make a difference. In this world that we live in, a lot of structures are in place to make us feel disempowered. And we need to fight that because we are empowered. And the more people that we join towards a common cause and towards something that we believe in, we can actually be stronger than we can ever imagine. So I feel like if we can all pitch in and all do our part in this, then we can just keep it going. And that's just the way it is. We have to support the things that we care about and that we hold dear in this world, because if you don't do that, they're going to go away. Especially if it's something that no one can put any monetary value on or make themselves rich off of, because that's the mark of success in today's culture. But I think that is not a good path to go down. And I feel like we need to hold the things that make a difference in our lives, that things that and places that we have a connection to, that we have ties with, that we have memories with, that have shaped us. Those are important to us as people. They make us who we are, and because of that, they have the humanity within them. So we just need to remember to care about and cherish these things, even beyond Scarecrow, just within our own lives. These are important things, and we can't let them just go away.
Well said. All that's important. I'm loving this idea in the chat. Did you see this? Adopt a video, have somebody be able to sponsor a certain release in your collection, like having a chair named after you in a museum. And perhaps you could put a little flashcard of their name and why they chose that in the release so people could see it.
We've done something like that before, so we'll have to just kind of discuss the ins and outs of it. But that sounds like a great idea. That because I want people to feel like some ownership of it. I want them to feel like they're a part of it, and especially if they have that and you can actually physically see it and keep it, that is super cool. And that's definitely a way to connect, because especially we're separated throughout the entire country, the entire world, but right now we're connecting, and that's the point of this. And we're connected on a much deeper level than a lot of people realize, and we can be there for one another, to support one another.
Could auction off the rights to sponsor certain titles. People are going to fight over Eraserhead and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Again, Scarecrow video is super important. Everybody, please go check out the links like we talked about tonight, and consider giving something. Again, it runs till the end of the year, but the big thing is Scarecrow in places like this will always need our help. And unless we are pursuing making them an important part of our lives, society will deem them unimportant and they will be gone. Period.
Yep.
Not to leave on a downer, but that's all we got tonight. You guys are.
It doesn't have to be a downer, because we have the power. We do have the power to make that happen. In our actions, we can change. I mean, we can't change everything in reality, but we can change some things, and we can take those wins and we can use those to galvanize more wins from that, in my opinion.
I agree. Fully agree. Can't wait to see what happens, and eager to discuss it more. Thanks for everything, Joel. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.